Coko, a 16-year-old with an infectious laugh and a warm, bright smile, was the kind of being you'd expect to have it all together. Her friends admired her cheerfulness, and even strangers found her friendly and approachable. However, behind her lively appearance, Coko harbored a secret that weighed heavily on her. She was fighting a silent battle against an endless stream of negative thoughts that consumed her mind. Every morning, Coko would rise with a quiet determination to overcome these relentless thoughts. She'd tried everything: affirmations, journaling, even talking to her best friends. But despite her efforts, the thoughts always found their way back to her. It was like they were her shadow, dark and constant, impossible to escape. "Why did I say that yesterday?" she'd wonder. "Will they think I'm foolish?" The thoughts often spiraled into worries about her future, self-doubt, and irrational fears that took on a life of their own. She felt like she was in a losing battle with her own mind. One evening, as Coko lay in bed, feeling drained from yet another day of fighting her inner battles, she scrolled through her phone to find some relief. That's when she stumbled upon a video titled, "The Science of Thoughts." Intrigued, she pressed play with her heart aching for answers. The speaker, a calm and reassuring voice, began by explaining a universal truth. Negative thinking is something we all deal with. We try to control our thoughts, but they keep slipping away. Coko was hooked. "This is me," she thought, "exactly me." The speaker continued, describing how negative thinking manifests in different forms, like stress, anxiety, worry, and fear. She had felt all of these, yet she'd always thought she was alone. But now, she realized she was part of a global struggle, where countless people wrestle with the same inner devil every day. The speaker went on, breaking down the mind's mechanics in a way that felt refreshingly simple. "Think of your mind like a hard drive," they said. "It stores everything you've experienced and churns out thoughts based on what it's stored." As Coko absorbed this idea, it dawned on her how much information she was holding onto every word she'd heard, every emotion she'd felt, every experience she'd ever had was there, floating in her mind and mixing together. Yet, there was a downside to this. Coko, like most people, didn't understand how to control this mind of hers. Instead, her thoughts wandered wildly, beyond her grasp, dragging her down and making her feel trapped. The speaker described the mind as something that, once activated, didn't come with brakes, an image that felt all too familiar to her. "It's like a motorbike that speeds up even when you try to brake," they said. "This is why we feel powerless against our thoughts." Coko laughed in spite of herself. That's exactly it, she thought. No matter how many times she tried to stop her mind, it felt as if she only made it race faster. But then the speaker shared a revelation that made her pause. We can't control the mind by using the mind. The speaker encouraged listeners to look deeper into this mystery by asking them to play a simple game. He instructed viewers to close their eyes and try to introduce themselves without using thoughts. Intrigued, Coko closed her eyes, and for a moment, she tried. But silence filled her mind. There were no words, no identity, no her. She opened her eyes, feeling startled and exhilarated. If I can't think, she realized, I can't even tell anyone who I am. The speaker explained that thoughts create our sense of self. If we stop thinking, our identity fades, leaving us in a sort of blank, thoughtless state. So that's why I can't stop thinking, Coko thought. I'm scared that if I stop, I'll lose who I am. But the video wasn't finished yet. The speaker introduced a new concept, compulsive versus conscious thinking. He explained that negative thinking is compulsive, happening without our control, like a knee-jerk reaction. Positive thinking, however, is a conscious choice, a way of taking charge of our inner environment. It wasn't about forcing positivity, it was about shifting from being controlled by thoughts to observing them. This perspective hit Coko like a revelation. The idea that her mind could function in either a compulsive or conscious mode helped her see that there was a way out of her constant loop of negative thinking. But she wanted to know more. The speaker continued, explaining that compulsive thoughts arise because we have created an identity with our mind. We let our thoughts define us, so we fear losing them. But, the speaker added, what if your thoughts aren't really you at all? Coko felt her pulse quicken. The speaker encouraged her to remember that every thought she had was born from the information she'd gathered over time. Every image, every sound, every word, all stored in her mind, generating the thoughts she called hers. It was an aha moment for Coko. So, if they aren't mine, she wondered, how could I be them? Over the following days, Coko practiced disidentifying from her thoughts. Whenever a negative thought arose, she would stop herself. She'd think, this thought isn't really mine. It's just a byproduct of what I've experienced. She closed her eyes, imagining the thought drifting away, detached from her, like a leaf on a stream. At first, it was challenging. The thoughts felt stubborn, clinging to her sense of self, but as she practiced, they began to feel lighter, more distant. Soon, Coko's outlook began to shift. She didn't feel as entangled in her thoughts. Instead, she felt like an observer, watching them come and go without judgment. Slowly but surely, she felt herself slipping into that conscious dimension the speaker had mentioned. She was no longer a slave to her thoughts. She had become the witness, the quiet observer who could let thoughts pass by without letting them define her. Each morning, Coko would sit for a few moments in meditation, focusing on this new awareness. She'd remind herself that her thoughts were not truly her. They were temporary, fleeting, like clouds across the sky. And with each practice, she felt a little more free. Her anxieties lessened, and her fears seemed less intimidating. She had found a way to control the uncontrollable, not by force, but by letting go. Coko's journey was far from over. There were still days when her mind would spiral, when the negative thoughts would return with full force. But she no longer feared them. She knew that they were just thoughts, just bits of information her mind had stored, and they didn't define who she was. For the first time, Coko felt that she had found a path to peace. And in that peace, she discovered something profound. She was not her thoughts. She was the silent witness, the pure consciousness that remained when the thoughts had passed. Coco's journey had just begun, but she had taken her first steps toward a life unburdened by the endless noise of the mind, a life where she could simply be. Thank you for watching. If you liked this video, then do like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Join our tribe.